Georgia's been in some state of transition for over 2 decades or so, and I'd be curious just if you could sort of set the scene for us now. I think there's been a bit of a backslide on kind of the democratic coalition that was built up. You know more about it than I do. Where are we? What's sort of the status of a transition towards a full democratic society, and what are you doing to go the last mile?
We've been contributing in a way to democratic governance in Georgia, so we've actually got quite a big stake in this, and we'd like to think that we've moved ahead in a number of areas. Let's just take them one by one. One big challenge is decentralizing government. Basically, what we're talking about here at the end of the day is making sure that people are better able to say to the government what they want, and that the government is better placed to actually hear it. So decentralization is important. As you know, decentralization is never terribly easy because it involves people giving up authority, devolving it down to the regions. It's also not that easy because it involves resources. You actually have to resource the people at the local level, otherwise, they're not going to get very far. They'll probably discredit themselves and the whole thing will backfire. But decentralization is going ahead. We just had municipal elections in Georgia where all the local authorities, with what we call the Gangabelli, the leaders of the local authorities, were actually elected for the first time, which is good. As were the mayors in 12 autonomous cities. And before it was only Tbilisi where the mayor was elected, everybody else went through a different route. So that's progress, that's good. Decentralization, I think, is really important. Again, because people feel that they need to actually be able to express themselves. One thing which I'm a little disappointed is the number of women who are elected. I think it's about 10% at the local level, which isn't good enough. UNDP run a program where we train recently elected women in municipal posts, and they're incredibly dynamic. They're the ones who really make the difference. I'm not trying to sort of produce this sort of whole myth where
Right.
only women are the dynamic ones and men sit at home and do nothing. I'm not suggesting that for a second, but it really has made a difference. So we're hoping that trend will continue. Okay, that's one aspect. The central level of parliament, in the last parliamentary elections, quite a big turnover, quite a lot of new elected members of parliament, quite a big capacity building challenge there. That's in having a grasp on the main files, whether it's health or it's education or it's foreign relations or whatever, just so that then leads to decent debates and decent decisions being made. So that's another area. Around governance, the other thing, of course, is the role of media, which is quite important. A responsible media. We've gone from the fairly dramatically insufficiently professional media to now a situation where it's improved vastly, but it's got a little way to go. Interestingly enough, since you're in a media situation, it's the web-based media which has now progressed the most, which is great, because I think generally the trend is that people will go over to web-based media. But in the countryside and remote rural areas, which are quite a lot in Georgia, people still read the press, and that's probably the biggest area where we see a need to progress. And a lot of newspapers, and some of them not terribly responsible, some of them downright inaccurate.